Hi everyone, so today's topic is called difference of perfect squares, and you'll find out what that means in a minute, but the reason we're doing it is because I've taught you how to factorize binomials, so expressions with two terms like this, but my method of teaching you that doesn't work for this particular example because I told you need to find the highest common factor first, and right on step one you can't even do it because there is no highest common factor of these two. So we're going to be learning how to factorize expressions like this. Now we have to start off as usual with expanding, and we're going to go backwards and learn about factorizing from that point. So if we expand x minus 2 times x plus 2, this is what we get. I'm not going to go over this in detail, you should already know that. So x squared plus 2x minus 4. You can see here's some like terms here. So these will disappear and cancel out. 2x minus 2x is 0. So we're left with x squared minus 4. Now, remember I said we're going to learn how to factorize x squared minus 4. Well, here we are. We've got x squared minus 4. And the way we factorize is we go back to the situation where there's factors. So this over here, that's two factors, isn't it? So if we write this version of it, we will have factorized x minus 2, x plus 2. All right. Now, let's expand another one, and we'll use that to factorize. So, let's expand. The first one is x squared. The outside two terms, times them together, you get 9x. The inside terms, you get negative 9x. And the last two terms, you get negative 81. 9 times negative 9. Now, again, these two cancel out. So you've got x squared minus 81. And you'll notice there's a pattern here. If you have the same thing in the first two places in the brackets, and the same thing in the last two places, but one of them is negative, so here and here, then eventually you get, when you expand it, you get the first term squared minus the last term squared. So x squared minus 9 squared. Okay, so if you factorize that, again you just have to go backwards into this version, and you just write down the factorized version, the version with the two factors. So that's our two factors, we've factorized it. Okay, so the rule for this is the general rule. So every time you've got, again, the same thing in the first two brackets, we'll call it A, and the same thing in the last two brackets, but one of them is negative. Then you end up with whatever's in the first two brackets, A squared, minus whatever's in the whatever's first in the brackets squared minus whatever's second in the brackets squared. Okay, so we're going to use this rule to factorize some expressions. So firstly, if you have something that looks like a squared minus b squared, just write the a squared minus b squared on top, and we'll match it up and see what's a and what's b. And then as soon as we do that, we can write the factorized version. So a equals, you can see if a squared is x squared, then a has to equal x. And b squared is 9. So what number squared is 9? You have to do the square root of 9, which is 3. 3 squared is 9. So that means now that we've got a and b, we can just write this, and instead of writing a and b, we'll write what a and b actually are in this example. So in this example, a is x. So instead of writing a at the start, we'll write x plus, instead of writing b, we write 3. And then we'll write x again for a minus, instead of writing b, we write 3 again. That's it. That's the factorized version. Now, we can do the same thing here. You don't have to write it on top. You don't even have to do a equals b equals, but could be useful. You might find it useful. So a, in this case, a equals a squared equals x squared. So let's just write it up. Again, a has to equal x, same situation as last time. B, what number squared is 64? So you could do the square root of 64 in your calculator, and you would find out that it's just 8. Okay, so now I can write it out. A is x, so I'll write x first plus 8, x minus 8. Okay. Now, which of these can you use the rule for? You can remember we wrote this a squared minus b squared to match them up, but you can also write it above just to test if it looks the same. A squared minus b squared. But there's a problem here. You can see the problem here is that you've got a positive sign here and a negative sign here. So actually, this doesn't even work for this one, because you've got a plus instead of a minus there. This one works. You can see it all matches up. You've got a number squared here and a squared number here, because 49 is 7 squared. So a would be x, b would be 7. It all works. This one, it does not work for, because you can write your a squared and b squared above it, but and you can work out b is x, but in this case, what's a? It's the square root of 3x, and that's not really going to work out very nicely. And also, keep in mind that you don't even have to use perfect squares for this one. You can just take out the common factor, which is x. So you would write x times 3 minus x, and that's the factorized version.